Jacksonville Jaguars secondary versus the Miami Dolphins speed all over the field. They're just zooming around. How do you see the second? I know, it's easy to say not good because the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary isn't as good as the thought. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Steve, what do you think about this?
Well, for starters, Ronald Darby is in fact still on a football team, and he's going to be the one we're going to be seeing. So, to your point, it's kind of hard not to say good because I feel like I feel like Tua could throw for 400 yards this game if he really wanted to. Now, Mike McDaniel's going to use the run game to his advantage, and we got fresh legs, and I think he's going to spread the ball out and just see what some of these players are ready to do this season. But I really think Tua he could ball out against Jacksonville's secondary if I'm not being, honest with myself. But I don't really see too much of an issue.
Okay. Josh, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, Tashaun Gibson suspended until week 7 for, I think, PEDs in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Daniel Thomas, Andrew Wingard, also out with injury. I mean, they're playing. They might as well go sign the bag boy at the local Stop and Shop. I mean, that's how.
I think
Publix. Yeah, perfect. Start him against Tyreek Hill. That would be great. No, but seriously, it's not. At least from my perspective, saying that this is an easy win for our skill positions versus their secondary and their defense is not a slight on Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's a very good team through and through when healthy. And I think that is very important when healthy. And frankly, honestly, their defense is outside of their defensive line. Their secondary, both at the safety positions and the nickel and their starting cornerbacks, they're just genuinely not healthy. And I don't know how a fully healthy Jaguars defense goes against our skill positions, let alone second, third strings and a rookie. I just don't see it. They will make plays. They always do. I mean, the Jacksonville defense is a no-name type defense where they just somehow end up figuring it out towards the end of the season. I just don't see it this early, especially in year 1 of a system that seemingly, and I'm not a Jacksonville fan, so to Jacksonville fans out there listening, please don't crucify me on this, but it's a bend, don't break defense. And it just seems like they're going to give too much cushion to the fastest team in the NFL. And it's a recipe for disaster.
Matriculate the ball down the field. That's what the Dolphins have to do. Mm-hmm. As Hank Strand would say. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this matchup here?
Truthfully, I thought Ronald Darby wasn't very good until I started diving more into his stats. I still don't think he's like an elite player, but he's better than I thought he was. Yeah. He hasn't had an interception in 4 years, which is a mind-blowing stat when you look at just the numbers. But he did hold Tyreek in check last year. It was week 17. Tyreek wasn't fully healthy, all that stuff that we want to give caveats to. But at the end of the day, Tyreek had 8 targets. He only caught 4 for 23, and that was against Ronald Darby. He caught 4 of 8 for 23 yards. So that's a pretty good day for him. Yeah. I think he'll be able to do that again with a fully healthy Tyreek? Probably not. And then on the other side, you got Tyson Campbell, who's had a bit of a rough go of it so far in his career.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, looking at him, anybody like semi-good that he faced last year, it wasn't pretty. So it's just him against Waddle or him against Hill, whoever the heck he lines up against. There's always room for improvement for young guys year after year. I hate to just look at backward stats and be like, well, he's going to do the same exact thing the next year because that's stupid. We can't say that Tyreek or like our guys are going to get better and their guys aren't, right? That doesn't make any sense. But I do think that like on paper, we have a significant advantage, even if you're just looking at the top 2 versus the top 2. And then once you start narrowing it down a little bit deeper, I'm sure Jonnu has an advantage there just because the whole F position, because they don't know what that is, right? So
that's a Mike McDaniel special right there.
Right. It's literally
the new Wildcat.
Right. It's meant to confuse the defense. Like it's like the Wildcat. A good one, Steve. So I had this one down on my list too there, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the offense shines right here. We've had games where we rely on the running backs. I think it'd be very easy just to rely on Tyreek and Waddle in this one.
Mhm. Yeah, and I also think it's important to realize we have year 3 of an offensive system, and I don't mean to keep harping on year 1 of a D, but there are statistical things to back this up. You have year 3 of an offensive system where historically it is like down on paper. You can see a noticeable market difference in the team from year 2 to year 3 in the same system. And you have a year 1 defensive coordinator who I'm sure is very talented. I don't know much about the coach. I'm drawing a blank on his name. What's his name? Whatever.
I just had it.
It doesn't matter.
Ryan Nielsen.
Yes, thank you. But it is in fact still year 1, and then you factor year 1 versus year 3 in with all of the injuries. It's not going to be pretty.
Steve, you had a point you wanted to make.
Yeah. So along with why I think our receivers are going to do very well against the secondary is, and the percentage is a little skewed because I believe they use special teams during this number since that's still offense. But the Dolphins pre-snap motion on offense is 80.3%, which is obviously the highest in the NFL. But on more than 60% of those motion plays, which would be almost 100% of your wide receiver route motions, the ball's hiked while they're running. So it kind of brings you back to those arena football days when the guys stood back 15 yards and took a dead sprint to that's essentially what they're doing, but down the sideline, not down the field. Yeah, or down the yard line, not down the field. So essentially that's what's making our receiver core one of the most explosive in the league. And I don't think Jacksonville is going to be able to do anything about the speed along with the head start they get on their pre-motion.
I'll say this, Steve, and this is something that Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, the entire wide receiving core has to watch out for because the NFL is going to be watching out for it. Do not lean forward. Before that ball is snapped. Because this was a rule. It felt like it was targeting the Dolphins.
They said, didn't they say that was the caveat on what kicked off the discussions?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. Like the motion's great and, keeping the defense off balance and 8%, that's all great. But I really hope that the Dolphins wide receivers at large just learned run parallel to the line of scrimmage. Do not lean forward. Do not run forward. Not until that ball is snapped.
I believe Mike McDaniel probably has them guys drilling that. Yeah.
I'm sure. But I'm putting the over-under on the amount of times to get called for that at like 4 this year. It's happening.
This year.
Right.
Yeah. Probably this year. Maybe not this game.
No, not this game. But this year, it's happening. They're going to get called for it. And they're going to get, it's going to be a big play. It's going to be called back, and we're going to be ripping our hair out.
Yeah.
Good luck, Keith, if you find it, bro.
We had a few illegal motion penalties last year. I feel like we kind of kept getting them consecutive games in a row for a little while. Right.
I think the number was 5. I looked it up, but I think it was 5.
Yeah. I know we were getting hit with that. And I think that's how they were trying to slow us down with the receiver, just like you said. So they hit us 5 times last year. I'm going to take your over. I think they maybe hit us 6 or 7 times.